Yo, can y'all hear me? Alright, I think I got the mics working all good. I gotta update all the Whoozy Watsits and the Bobble twins. You know how it is. You understand. Okay. Got my soda. I got everything set up. I don't know what else I need to do. I posted everything on social media. I think we're about ready to get started. The only thing I can think of is maybe just making sure I have my book that I'm going to be reviewing today. Warhammer Adventures: Stories in an Age of Fantasy. Actually, you know, I keep saying it's garbage, it's flaming trash, but it's you know, it's not that bad. It's just not great. It's not good, and it's not okay in any sense of the word. I'll explain what I mean by that later. I think more clarification is necessary to understand why I think it's garbage. But I'll get to that soon. Don't worry. We'll be starting very, very soon. Keep adjusting my settings for a second. Gotta make sure everything's being picked up right. Oh, that looks good. We're gonna be working on the HellHound today, i.e. the title. How are you guys doing today, by the way? I don't know how to word this correctly. I'll leave that up. Ask me about my feet. I don't know what that means, but to me, right now, it means absolutely nothing. So thank you guys for joining me today. Let me get some of the brightness up. I feel like I just can't really quite see what I'm looking at per se. I don't know if that's the right way to word it. Raise the exposure too. Maybe not. Maybe drop the exposure. Raise the actual lighting itself. Either way, we'll get started in no time at all. But today I'll also be reviewing this free extract from Warhammer and from Games Workshop. This is something that they're giving out right now. It's usually a double book. It's usually like you flip it around and then there's like the Attack of the Necrons on the other side. Let me see if I can find my copy of Attack of the Necrons. It's somewhere over here. Give me one sec. Ugh. Let's see if I can find it among the wreckage. Ah, I feel it. Okay. So this is the other side of the book, right? It usually comes like this. So you flip it around and it's like, boom, Attack of the Necron. Boom, City of Livestone. And then you can see where I ripped it down the middle. But I just thought it'd be easier to carry them around as two separate books. But I will be reviewing Attack of the Necron very soon. If you just give me a minute, would you? Jeez. I barely even I mean, calm down. Calm down, okay? I'm gonna be getting to Attack the Necron, alright? I know that you're like, I don't like Age of Sigmar. I like 40k. Why did you review the Age of Sigmar one first? Because I like 40k too, alright? So I fucking chose this one to save for last because I figured it's gonna be better, you know, than the fucking garbage that this one was. Like, oof. But don't worry, we're gonna get to that in one sec. Let me get a ripski my blend. I shouldn't have chucked that behind me because I'm gonna need it again to reference. So let me get a Ripsy in my blend. I grab my copy of Attack of the Necron again, because I have a tendency to love to just chuck things behind me. It's one of my favorite pastimes, actually. You know, I went to school for a really long time, for like at least 4 years. The chucking things behind you school. And I learned the craft, and, you know, I just didn't feel like it was the kind of life for me. So I said goodbye to the professional world of tossing things over my shoulder behind me. But, you know, sometimes when I do it as a civilian, I find myself keeping up to those morals, you know, those dignified ways of throwing. You know, there's just things that people do and things people don't. I got a better idea than ask me about my feet. All right. I think that actively tells the message that I want to shell. That's good. There. That's good. Alright. Alright, I gotta stop playing around with the sponsor, alright? I gotta get started. I haven't even turned myself onto the screen. Maybe I will. Maybe. Oh, 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 oh. Whoa! Go! Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. No, but for real, give me one more sec. I'm gonna take a hit of my pen, then we're gonna get this biatch started. I know I've been saying that for like 7 minutes straight now, but I promise you, this time is the time that I'll shut the fuck up. I'm okay. I'm okay. Oh. Oh God. All right. So, I know what you're thinking. We're gonna get it out of the way now, all right? We're gonna get out of the way now. Sophie. Why does your eyeliner look like shit? Well, I'll tell you. Get off my back. A. And B. I'm using makeup from the fucking dollar store that I bought like when I first like started breaking out of my fucking egg. It's cheap as shit. Sorry, I'm opening the window 'cause it's hot, but I'm not gonna take off my outfit because I'm dressed like the look. I always design my outfits now after the main character. I don't have a black head covering, but I got the orange shirt thing. Maybe a little bit of blue for the Sigmar. I would have tossed some gold in here if I... Oh, actually. Do I have any gold? I don't have any gold necklace, like fake gold necklaces, but I would have... And you know, the classic Gabagool. But, yeah. Thanks for joining me. Sorry, I had a huge chunk of, skin on my lip that I just couldn't help but chew off, and it came at the inopportune moment. Do any of the rest of you guys do that? Excuse me, my hit's still fucking me up. Do any of the rest of you guys chew off the skin on your lips? Or is that just me? I don't know, part of me is like, it's probably a nervous thing and I should stop. But another part of me is like, what if I don't? Because it always makes sure I have fresh skin on my lips. But that's not true because now I have a bunch of dead skin and cracked lips, so you do the math. What's up, Ask? You want to be a part of the stream? Sorry, past distraction. What's up? Maybe he'll lay down and join us. I'm really hoping he does. Alright. So, I need to get to reviewing this book while I'm building this. The reason why I looked so upset at first is because this is... Yes! Because this is the most shitty fucking basic, like, instructions for treads. I hate doing these treads. But whatever. I've done them so many times, I'm doing them again. I'm trying to get a good angle so that way you can see Pask. What's up, Pask? Yes! Yes, he sat down! Oh. If I have a... Excuse me, if I have a mod in chat, please clip. I love that kitty. I love that little dude. My freaking General Pask up here. Alright, so here's what we're going to do, right? I already got these pieces cut out for basically all these steps except for the treads. And the treads come in 3 sizes, right? They come in... I don't know, 4 sizes, sorry. They come in large, medium, 2, and then 1. I say that because the medium is like 4 or 5, I don't remember. And then large is like probably like 10 or 12, right? Oh, he's so cute. I love him. So those are what I need to cut out, and I need to sort those out. I have this little tray right here. You guys can't really see it. Why's the contrast so low? You guys see it now? It's just such a deep red. It like blends in so well. I'm kind of a fan. I mean, I like it that way. But we're going to put this off to the side because it takes up a lot of the screen. when we could be looking at the sprues, which are way more important and cool and pretty. And this bad mamma jamma right here. Yeah, this book was, it tried my patience, I'll tell you that. It's just like, how do I put it? It's like one of those TV shows from the 80s, like late 80s, early 90s, where you watch an episode, usually like the pilot episode, which is exactly what this is. This is a pilot episode of a book. This is the first 3 chapters plus a prologue. And the prologue is basically all of the exposition. And then we get into the first chapter, which is setting up the character. Let's see. A year from, so the prologue takes place a year prior to the actual book itself. And then in the book itself, we see the titular character, Kiri, or that seems to be the only way to pronounce it, Kiri. I don't know which way it is. It's literally, it doesn't have the pronunciation in the book, so it's full winging it. But I'm going to go with Kiri because I like Kiri. That's easiest for me to say. So Kiri, the titular character, starts out, and then we see 3 chapters of her growth, and assumedly this book would probably have somewhere in the length of 12 to 15 chapters, I'd say, just based on the way that it seems to be paced out. You don't get very far. You don't even get to the denouement in this book, which is or sorry, not the denouement. Sorry, I'm staring at Pask in the little icon, and it's distracting me. You don't even get to the main like tipping point, which is like when you start to actually break out of the first act. A lot of people call it like the major dramatic question, or the great driving, whatever it is. It's usually when you find out what the whole point of this story is. So for this, like, you could already guess what it is, and it's because it's called the City of Lifestone, but it's all about like rebringing the City of Lifestone to its former glory in some way. But I don't know, it's got some very weird vibes from it, and you'll catch those when I start to break into the plot itself. But before we do that, let me do some cutting. I'm gonna turn this camera back to where it kind of was, but with the kitties also available. Oh, it's okay, he's gone anyway. If he comes back, I'll fix it. Alright. Let me cut some stuff real fast. But, do you guys have any questions so far? I feel like I'm so overexposed. Look at my face. You can barely see me. I'm just bright. It's weird. I have something in my throat from hitting my pen, but I want to hit it again. Is that weird? Alright. So I'm going to sort... These big treads are just going to go off in their own category. I can actually grab a bowl for those. But these big treads will be in a bowl of their own because they're kind of, in a league of their own. They're unmistakably different than all the rest of the treads. They're so huge. I mean, they're triple the size of the largest other tread. So it's kind of unmistakable which one these are. I don't feel like I need to sort them. But just for the general sake of my OCD and my need to make sure everything has its own place, we're definitely going to put them in a bowl. Which is going to be this little white bowl next to me. Alright. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's so much cat hair all over the sprue. It's because I left these sprues out for too long. And Pask has been coming in and out of here. And he's got this very, very bright white hair that always shows when I'm building models. It's really funny. used to bother me when I was back home because I have a cat back home that sheds a lot. But I actually, I feel like I was more bothered by just how dusty and dirty everything was. And the cat hair just annoyed me to like the upteenth of it. I feel like there's nowhere sanitary to just do my models, which is fine. But I have been thinking about how nice it would be to have like my own garage workshop or something to the likes of that. It would be so nice. Sure, I would very much enjoy it. What do you guys think? If any of you guys at home build, do you guys have your own little workshops or workstations? This is the closest I have to that. I'd love to know. But I think while I clip, I'm gonna hop into the excuse me. I'm gonna hop into the prologue of the story and just start to explain a little bit of it. Make sure I have all these pieces off though. And I read this, when I read this, I was in a lot of pain still from my neck. My, whew. You hear that? From when I got, I woke up and I just had like the worst pain. It was unbearable. And I sat down in the bathroom on the floor on like the rug while the shower was just going. Like outside the shower, basically, like sitting with my back against the wall. Which is just like, I don't know. When you're scrunched up in positions like that, places you aren't normally sitting, like I've done that like in the bathroom, downstairs, like against the laundry machine, or like literally in the kitchen against like the wall near the trash cans. Just those places that like you'd never expect yourself to like be willing to just like lay down, but you're so fucking destitute that you need somewhere to like solace while you just cry. So I just kind of like laid against the shower and was just crying because my back, or like not my back, but like my shoulders and my neck, like this whole strip, or I'll show you in one sec while I can put this down finally. Oh! Alright, did I miss any? I don't think so. But this whole strip from like up behind my ear back here, all the way down my neck, all the way to my shoulder blade out here. So like basically a little bit on my back, but like all my neck. Like basically where my hand is spreading is like all of the afflicted areas, if you can see that. But I was in so much pain that I just had to like hold myself and like stabilize my neck so it didn't hurt so much. And then where it could get the most comfortable, I just like broke down crying. And I was just, God, I did not feel like I felt like every other worldly care or worldly worry that I have, stress, just could not even hold a candle to the amount of just grief that I was feeling. So I understand now how important your spine is and how important taking care of your spine is. I also found out from the chiropractor that my spine is severely out of line. Basically, my torso is shifted this way, like over my left side, out of line, while my head is in line with my body, which means it's shifted the right way over my right side. So basically, like, my head is going this way and my body's going this way. I don't know if I can show you like that, basically. So I have to like correct it by like pushing my, kind of keeping my weight in the center line when it starts to like drift back onto this side. And then your head kind of should come back in line with it. But I just have a lot of problems like going this direction, which is fine because I'm looking this direction. But I also found that a lot of my problem is, you see how like my body's facing this way right now, but my head is facing this way to look at you. That strain on my neck, having my screen not be face on with me, can be a lot of damaging. Now I only really do this right now while I'm like streaming, so I'm chilling. But when I do this normally, like to to build models when I'm just sitting here building models like this, and I'm staring at my TV screen like this over and over and over. That's hurting my neck, and it's putting a lot of damage because I'm holding my neck in this direction. So I've just been doing a shit ton of damage to my spine ever since I broke my collarbone, and it has not helped me out. So hopefully we're on the right track. Hopefully we're on a good track towards a better place for me physically. I'm gonna try to get this up. Okay. Where the sprue meets the actual piece usually has some pretty thick lumps, but for these molds, since they're so thick, the lumps are very hard and sometimes difficult to shave away. But this one was very easy, actually. I found it not to be troublesome whatsoever. I just realized I need to tell my roommate something. So if you guys would give me a second, I'm gonna go into like bathroom mode, but I'm really not. I'm just gonna walk downstairs and like tell my roommate something about tomorrow that I need to let them know, because it's gonna affect them, and I've forgotten to do it like 2 or 3 times now, because I keep being like, oh, I'll tell them when it's convenient, and instead of doing that, I'm not gonna wait until it's convenient. So if you guys would stick around with me, I'd love for me to be able to explain this. All of this plot is just for the prologue. Thoughts. Awful. Formatted just right. Yeah, okay. I can't say that's a spoiler. But that's why I keep saying awful, because literally my first thought when I finished it was, this is awful. But give me 1 sec. I'm going to run downstairs. I'm going to let my roommates know something, and then I'll be right back. Actually, I think I'm going to get another soda while I'm down there, too, just to replace the one that's out right now. What's up, you little manlets and non-binary freaking algorithms? I'm gonna squanch down on you so freaking hard. Ooh! I forgot about the beautiful babes in chat. What's up, ladies? Ladies. Single. Pringled. Ready to flingle dingle? None of those things, actually. I'm very scared of people, and it's hard for me to talk to anyone other than someone I've already established a relationship with. Pew, 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 pew. I'm also very, very insecure about myself, and I have problems with actually making myself get out of bed and like go do normal things, like go fucking, do my homework or go to class or take a shower or shit like that, because I'm so fucking depressed. Ladies, doesn't that sound fucking like Don Juan himself? Doesn't it sound like mwah, the picture of sex? Well, she's free. She's available. The Marilyn Monroe for your dreams. The e-girl of your life. You want that e-girl with a dick? I got you. I could do that. You just gotta actually, well, for real, I don't got the money to dress like an e-girl. Doesn't mean I wouldn't. I'll be your e-girl. You just gotta, like, pave the way monetarily. You want me to wear thigh highs and fishnets and fucking cat girl ears and shit like that? I'll fucking do it. You just gotta pay for it, bruh. Because I can't. I mean, that should be evident based on the fact that I'm wearing fucking eyeliner from Daiso. I have $1.50 eyeliner on right now. Lord help me. Hey, I've actually pulled off my $1.50 eyeliner more times than you can count for Grinder. But that's a different story, I guess. So, back to the city of Liveston. Or Lifestone? 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 Lifestone. Lifestone's so on the nose. Like, I can't help but be like, you couldn't have named it with any more finesse than Lifestone. Alright. Let's hop into the prologue. So, the prologue, look how fat this text is. This is so easy reader. It's rough. I at a certain point I stopped taking notes because I stopped taking active page notes because I stopped realizing that it even mattered. I was like, oh, this is just bullshit. But let's just start off with what's important. So Kiri is currently on, I can't even pronounce it. It's spelled like AQ Shy. So Aqua Shy is what I'm assuming it is. So Kiri starts off on the planet Aqua Shy, which under my knowledge is a slave planet. According to her, she is under the rule of barbarians, Dark Oath barbarians, run the slave camp. And the problem with the Dark Oath barbarians is they are easily attacked because they are out in the open. So they're pushing all of their slaves, these people who used to inhabit the nearby area that have been pillaged basically by these barbarians and turned into slaves. Mostly that's why the child is this way. They're carrying stones to this really high part of the mountain to help build a fortress. So that way the barbarians could have somewhere to take shelter, right? But that's not the whole story, as we'll find out. So we open with Kiri, right? Kiri's a slave. She's It doesn't. I don't think they give us the exact age, but she's probably, from what it says, anywhere between the age of like 10 and like 16 at the oldest. I don't think so. From what it seems like, she's like 12, low key. Like she's like a 12-year-old who's like somehow a fucking like somehow getting away with like what she does, which you'll see what she gets away with. But that's the way they kind of like pitch it to you age-wise, and I only say that because they give us other kids later on in the story of various ages, and it doesn't seem likely that she could be much older than 14 in my mind. In reality, like I said, she's probably somewhere around 13 to 12. But I could see people trying to push her age. Just look at the cover, though. Look at this cover. Look how young these kids are. And you're telling me they're supposed to be like these ballers? These like these supposed to be these badasses? These absolute fucking Navy SEALs? They're children. They're like the ages of 10 to 16 at the oldest. I'd say one girl is maybe 16, but in reality, I think she's like 14, 15. I just want to be like nice, and I want to like be hopeful that like they're not just literally a bunch of kids. And they acknowledge how weird this is for like a very, very brief moment. They acknowledge it, but they also just kind of sweep it away, and then they turn it into something even worse, in my opinion. So we're gonna get to that later. Probably, I think it's chapter 2 that we start talking about another mysterious character that's gonna throw some weird, confusing wrenches into what this whole story means, actually. And remember that we're working with our free extract, which is only a prologue and 3 chapters, so like 4 chapters total. And the prologue is really long, but it slowly gets less and less. Actually, the 3rd chapter isn't even finished. It like cuts us off like 4 or 5 pages into the 3rd chapter, just to be like, fuck you. You got it. You want to know what's gonna happen? You better read the rest, bitch. You know, like they really fuck on us hard. They almost got me, but then I remembered that I don't care. And that, like, you could pretty much find the synopsis or bootlegged PDF of anything online these days. Let me turn my headlamp on. I'm sure it's going to flashbang some of y'all. So let's get back to the story. I'm looking straight at you like I'm your guide in the mine that you fell into. You're trying to survive on your way out. You're staring directly into my light. Sorry about that, pal. I'll save you. Don't worry. So we started off in the slave planet. Kiri is carrying boulders. A stack of black boulders is what they describe them as, on her shoulders. I'm not joking. It literally says black boulders on her shoulders. And she's in a big line with a bunch of other slaves, right? And they're heading up to a fortress. And she tells us that the fortress... Oh, why am I using this brush for this? These are huge. I need to use the big brush. So she tells us that the fortress could be one of 3 things, right? Well, she tells us it could be one of 2 things at first. But then she's like, well, actually, it could be a 3rd thing, right? So the first thing she says is that it could be a fortress protecting an artifact, right? And that one she, like, kind of gives merit. And she's like, I hope it's this one, because if it's the other one, that would suck. And then the other one that she says, which she doesn't really give merit to, but she kind of just says that it would be really rough, is that it could be guarding or protecting a monster. Which is totally a fair point. Fair point. But then she gives us the the thing that she hopes it is, which is like, you know, okay, if you said it was one of two things and then you add a third thing into the mix, an option C out of nowhere, it's probably that thing, right? So then she says that there are rumbles, there are rumors and talks that there is a doorway, a possible doorway between worlds. And this gives her hope because she doesn't like the idea that she's trapped on a planet with her captors and there's no way out for her. But it also gives her hope for another reason that we'll be finding out very, very shortly. It's also within this prologue, within a couple of plot points. I gotta put that on the drop list, but I feel like I might drop again one more time. I also found out that the reason I drop stuff so often is because of my my spine, actually, because of my nerve endings. So go figure. I'm making fun of myself for no reason. Will it stop? It will not. Drop number 1, baby. That's all she wrote. How long have you guys been out of focus like this? I'm very sorry. I apologize for my misdeeds. I will never commit these atrocities again. Give me 1 second to hit my pen, and then I'll keep going on the plot, okay? Thank you. You're my little pog champ. Hey, little pog champ. Thanks for waiting for me. You feel free to clip that one. Just don't put it in your jerk-off compilation. Alright. So, the slaves are helping build the citadel for these barbarians around this fortress that they are trying to do one of 3 possible things with. And Kiri is in the middle of carrying these boulders up the mountain to where the citadel's being built around the fortress, right? And so she gets to the spot where she drops off the boulders, and she sees her friend Kellen, who's described as, like, I think a little wiry boy. And Kellen asks her if it's like time. Here, let me pull it up in the text. Kellen, she said, "It's time?" Kellen nodded quickly. "Go, I'll distract him." So, what this means at first, I was confused because it says his red-rimmed eyes filled with sympathy. So I was confused by what this meant at first, but then you find out that when he makes the distraction, Kiri is actually running to go see her mother, Cheetah. And her mother, Cheetah, is dying. And that's really, really important, because what he meant by it's time is that her mother is, like, dying. Like, she's on her way out the door. And she's been dying for some time now, right? And I didn't get this at first. This was a little confusing for me, so I was like, oh, whoa. She's died really fast. But then when I reread the beginning to do my review and refresh myself, I totally remembered that that there was this weird part where she described his eyes and how his eyes were all, like, red and puffy, and I was like, oh, is he supposed to be just like a little crybaby at first? But then I realized, oh, it's because he knows that his friend's mom is dying. He has to tell his friend that that her mom is gonna die. So Kellen makes a distraction, right? Hold up, this is for hey Emmett. Suck my nuts. I hope he's not in the chat right now. That would be rough. Let's drop a little glue in here. A little glue in there. A little glue on that. A little gluey on that. And then we'll let this message forever disappear. And you might be able to like, oh, it's visible right now. Yeah, well, I'm about to put treads all over it, so. So, back to the story. This titillating plot of Warhammer. Sorry, my hair gets a little, like, itchy. I don't know how to describe that. Like, makes my neck itch. So, Cheetah tells her daughter to run away. And her daughter asks where. And Cheetah tells her to run to the place where Cheetah was born and raised and found her husband, I believe, which is Kiri's father. And then she had to move out of that place for whatever reason. They don't describe it to us, I believe. Well, actually, let me go back. I don't believe they described to us why. Here we go. Yeah, they literally say some cataclysm. So she had fallen in love, been married, and 12 years ago she'd given birth to a daughter. So Kiri was born in Lifestone. But some cataclysm had forced them to leave, wandering the wilds, and falling into the hands of slaves. Of slavers. that would make more sense. So, being forced into the hands of slavers, they end up farther from Lifestone. And she tells her daughter to head back, basically. And that Lifestone is where she needs to go and to run away. And this is where things start to get weird and start to get, like, really shitty, in my opinion. Like, why I start to say this is awful. So, a barbarian comes through the curtains as her mom is, like, slumping over dying. And is like, ah, you lazy little fucking bitch, basically. And grabs her and throws her outside. And as she thinks she's about to get beat up, let's see if there's a picture of it, because there's a lot of pictures in this book, and I want to show you them. This is her and her mom, by the way. This is Kiri and her mother. So as she gets tossed, she goes to use her, because she has a hand rocket, a catapult. So she goes to use her catapult to basically, sorry, I'm fixing the the exposure on the models because it's so over bright, but it's overexposed. So she goes to use her wrist rocket, but before she do that, a flash of lightning strikes, and one of the members of the army of Sigmar just fucking drops out of nowhere with no prompting at all. And I'm going to explain you later because they don't explain anything else. So there's no prompting at all why they drop down. And the foundation of the actual citadel and the actual fortress starts to crumble because of lightning hitting it and cracking and exploding. Astra, what now? Eat my Xeno shorts. Astra, what now? Eat my Xeno shorts. Alright. Time to cage up this mother and never let it see the light of day. I actually did it upside down, so we should probably really put it away. But the army of Sigmar just begins to attack the barbarians, but in the process of them like zapping down from the heavens, they're destroying the foundation, and they genuinely say that it's killing slaves. Like, slaves are dying from it. Other slaves are picking up pieces of the foundation and fighting along with the army of Sigmar, which gives Kiri hope. And Kiri stops to like look at them, and I believe Kellen is also, I didn't write it down, but Kellen's among them, right? And it gives Kiri hope as she begins to like run away. And so Kiri's running away. The other slaves who weren't killed by the Foundation falling down on them are just straight up attacking the barbarians that are their slavers, which good for them, with the army of Sigmar. Fuck this. So they're attacking them with the army of Sigmar as Kiri runs off, and she says multiple times that she doesn't know where she's running. She just feels like she knows. And something that is used all the time to buff out pages in this book is her just aimlessly running. And it's almost used like, oh, I don't really have anything to go right here to move the plot along, so I'm just gonna like talk about how like she doesn't know where she's going, but her birthmark, I forgot to tell you, she has a birthmark on her wrist of like a circle with an arrow or something like that. It's like a lifestone rune. I don't even get to like what they explain it to be, because I wasn't, I didn't pay for the full. I took the free trial. I didn't pay for the full pass, the full DLC. But she's following like her tattoo and her intuition, which are like, I guess, the same thing. Like her magic intuition of being born in Lifestone and being different because she was born in Lifestone and she's different. You get the idea. Like, that's all it is. Like, there's nothing deeper. It's just like, oh, okay, she's just a girl that's special. And that's it. She's not like smart or talented or born with like a mutant gene. She's just a girl that's special with a special birthmark. Isn't that nice? Isn't that sweet? She's got a special birthmark. And her special birthmark guides her down a hallway where a barbarian attacks the fuck out of her. And while she's being attacked, a Stormcast Eternal drops down. Now, this is the second time that she is in the middle of being attacked by a barbarian, and before she can help herself, a member of the army of Sigmar, a Sigmarite of some kind, drops down and saves her, which is super bizarre, because in the rest of the extract, nothing like that ever happens. So either some chance raid happens on this barbarian squad, or it's directly set up for the reasons that I believe it is, which is to help sell toys, basically. And that's why I said that this is set up a lot like one of those 80s, 90s TV shows, where you kind of get this really hand-fisted plot that like kind of doesn't really make sense when you evaluate it. Like, it's actually just been a lot of running up into and around a fortress while almost being attacked by barbarians, and then suddenly a flash of lightning appears, and the gold shine of their face mask as they boom drop down, and they're so badass and they're fully kitted out. You know what I mean? So it's this idea that like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like show off how cool and badass our characters are, and show off like, oh, and you can get like this whole like, this is the army of Sigmar and they're fighting the barbarians. But don't get that confused, because you also need a Stormcast Eternal. And the way she talks about the Stormcast Eternal is what surprises me, because she starts to like talk about it like it's this common knowledge that like these are the elite of the elite and they're special and like blah blah blah, when she acts like this has never happened to her before. So either this has happened to her before, or she just has this weird marketing almost knowledge of Stormcast Eternals. And of course, like, multiple come out around the corner, and they're like also there, because Stormcast Eternals, as you know, don't come in a single pack unless you're buying an HQ, which you could. That could be an HQ, but in reality, you are going to need a pack of 3 or 5, which is how they come. So at this point, we're talking about a pack of Dark Oath Barbarians, which is its own faction altogether. A pack of the Army of Sigmar, which is honestly its own start collecting faction. And then you've got on top of that a set of what are probably, I assume, elites or possibly HQs that are the Stormcast Eternals. And I want to point this out now because you create this, with your prologue, you create this really bizarre scenario that you don't see for the rest of the entire story. And I get that you use it to set up the prologue, but all of it's unnecessary. And it seems really, really specific in a marketing way. And I want to explain this from a child's perspective, okay? Because I used to do this all the time, right? I'm a little kid. I read this really cool book about this girl and this guy and this other girl, and they're in this really cool place called the City of Lifestone. That's where this is, right? And I'm just obsessed with it so much that I want to play it. I want to be them. I want to play as them. Maybe only for like a couple of days, but that's how kids' brains are, right? They're like, oh, I'm Kiri. I'm Kiri, and look, I got the wrist rocket. And then they've got like a rubber band and like a little rock or something, and they're pew, you know. So like that's how kids are, right? But my problem isn't with this, because this isn't something you can buy, right? My problem is with this, which is front and center on the fucking thing. It's literally like, this is one part of the story. This is, you see that? Doesn't that look like half the book? That's the prologue. Isn't that interesting? That the prologue of this book, of this extract, is like half of the extract. And it has nothing to do, essentially, with the rest of the extract, yet it's on the front cover of the book, of the whole book, right? Which is super weird to me. Except for the fact that you can think of it as, what about if I wanted to be this? And, you know, maybe I have siblings, and both of my siblings want to be this, but we can't both be this. So I want to be this, and maybe brother's going to be this, you know? Or maybe I want to be this, and brother can be this, or sister can be this, you know? And this is where you get roped into accidentally buying 2 start collecting kits for Dark Oath Barbarians and the Army of Sigmar, which I'm just going to go ahead and be like, I haven't even looked into it. Maybe it comes with a pack of Stormcast Eternals, so maybe you don't even need to buy that on your own. And then you got to fucking build them yourself, because Lord knows that if your kid is reading this size of a book, they can't build that shit on their own. And if they can, I'm fucking, like, claps to you, and I'll buy you a fucking free model. Like, you clip this and you send this to me on my Twitter, SETHARIAHK, and I'll fucking send you a free model. I don't give a fuck. And then on top of that, you have to paint this for them. And it's roping the adults into this situation. But think about where you're finding this book at, right? You're finding this at a GW store, at the front desk. So probably while you're showing up to pick up your paints or your new model for the week, right? You're showing up and you see this free extract for an easy reader book. You have your little kid next to you who's sitting plinking away on the iPad, and you're like, this might be a good way to connect us. I'll give them this little easy reader book, and it's free. Well, then you get wrapped into that whole idea, like I was telling you, where you're kind of stuck, like, buying models just to satisfy this, like, need to have them because they know that they exist and they can have them, which is a big push of, like I said, the TV shows and movies of the 80s and 90s. This idea that, like, just because you have the ability to have it and everyone else could have it and you could not have it is so awful to kids. It's like the ultimate FOMO for kids, and they succumb so easily. And I'll be honest, I am the same way. Like if I need to have it, I gotta have it kind of person. Like when I see something like that, like that's why I have so many models on my wall that I won't even build, because I'm like, oh, I gotta have it, but I gotta have it in the box, so that way later I can build it, and maybe I could do a whole stream with a bunch of them, and you know, like fuck that, dude. Like that's so much, you know. I mean, I'm doing it. I'm not gonna stop, but you know what I mean. Like you don't want to instill that in your children, but that's something that like a lot of these, you know, little books and little movies that are based on franchises will do, is they'll do their best job to make it just be, oh yeah, no, it's just a story. Yeah, it's just a regular freaking story. And then out of nowhere, it's like a bunch of really specific product placement that has nothing to do with the rest of the story. You know, that's where I have my digs. That's where I see my problems. But everything past this prologue, everything past what I said, has nothing to do with that, which is why I want to like dig in so hard on that now and then just get it all out of my system. Because the rest of it seems like it's just a regular story about, you know, kids being what seems like maybe mages or chosen children from what the extract gives us. I don't know. It's weird and unspecific. We're going to hop into it, but I just wanted to get that weird feeling out of the way that like there's something almost marketive about this. So the Stormcast Eternals save her. She follows the birthmark until she finds herself in a room with a realm gate, right? And so she knows what this means. She wants to use the realm gate to go to the city of Lifestone, which is a very confusing thing in the book, because in the book, gotcha. So she decides that she wants to go to Gyran, the realm of life, where the city of Lifestone exists, which she does. That's where it takes her. We find that out at the beginning of the story. But she just kind of walks up to the portal, and then it kind of just like absorbs her. I don't know. It's not very specific. It doesn't seem like they care. They want you to just hype you up to be like, oh, this is how it's gonna start. She's gonna already have been there for a year, right? Yeah, but will she have gotten any progress done? No, that's a different story. I need to hold up and make sure I'm doing this right. All right. So, let me pull up chapter 1's plot, because it's not on the back of this. This took up the entire fucking plot. So chapter 1 opens with Kiri and her companion, Harvin. Now, Harvin is an undescribed age. He could be anywhere from 12 to 68, 80, 90. Like, he could be any age. Just based on the way they write him. At some points, they act like he's been around for a really long time. But then other points, the way they write him is as if he is weaker and more scared than Kiri, and is willing to hide behind Kiri's strength, which I don't see a 60-year-old doing that with a child. I just don't. I see that. That's why I immediately assumed, oh, this kid's like younger than Kiri, maybe, or maybe he's like the same age as Kiri. So he's like, oh, this kid's like stronger than me, so I'm just gonna kind of let this kid take the reins on this mish. But they don't really describe that, and so we open with them being attacked by a direwolf. And this isn't important at all, but they decide to open with this just to show how dangerous this place is. That Kiri's like, no sweat. I don't give a fuck. So, Kiri has been on the run. She describes her experiences for the last year being nothing but, like, awful. And being her just running from various groups or entities trying to kill or kidnap her on her way to the city of Lifestone. And Harvin, who's a peddler, she met 6 days ago on the same trail that she was going towards Lifestone. And when they get within view, they realize that Lifestone has long since crumbled and it no longer like looks the way it used to. And Harvin knew this, but he didn't really like, I guess he didn't vocalize it good enough to her until like they got there. I don't know. The way they describe it is like, he's like, yeah, no, this is the way it's always been. But I don't know why he wouldn't have said that earlier. So they go inside, and she's expecting the marketplace to be like bustling, and there's gonna be a lot of people, and it's gonna be loud, like she expects all the marketplaces she's ever been to would be. But when she gets in there, it's like really quiet, and it's like super silent, and everyone's destitute, like they're very like empty and soulless basically. And they showed up late, so the guy that Harvin showed up to peddle to is like, fuck off, this is the way this place has always been, this child's annoying, leave me alone, I would never buy your fucking wares now, and not help you at all, fuck off. That's like basically how he acts the entire time, right? And so Harvin's like, it was good to see you, it was good to meet you, I'll see you later, you know, I gotta go sell my wares. And she's like, where should I go? And he's kind of like, I don't know, you could try this old Sigmarite temple. Like, there used to be like really good people there. I don't know if it's still the same way, but it used to be that way. And so she decides to head out to the temple. So she says goodbye to Harvin and goes out towards the temple. And on her way out towards the temple, she gets like grabbed by this old lady. I've just done like 2 drops without counting it. Holy shit. So on her way out, she gets grabbed by this old lady. And the old lady's basically like, hey, you're being followed. And she's like, what? And the old lady's like, yeah, you're being followed by that old guy. And we call him the Shadowcaster. Which is a badass name, right? Like, when I heard that, I was like, oh, he's cool. Like, he's gonna be a dope guy. And then she's like, basically, he's a pedophile. Like, he stalks children that are alone, and he kidnaps them, and then they disappear. He takes them off to, like, this place on the side of town, and they just disappear. Which makes me be like, how the fuck do people know that he does this? And they don't give a fuck? Like, they're not doing anything about it at all. Like, why wouldn't you go out there and see where the kids are? And like, I don't know, it's very confusing, right? So the old lady is like, I'll see you, or like, have a good trip or whatever. I don't know. The old lady basically is like, bye, and she's like, bye, and then she goes to head out to the Sigmarite temple, now knowing that there's a fucking like stalker after her. Right? And that's chapter 1. So chapter 2 is super fucking weird. So she shows up at the temple, and the temple's empty. And when she sits on the ground and like starts to just kind of like cry, and, like put her head in her hands, she hears someone walk up to her, and she looks up, and it's the fucking Shadowcaster. The dude who in the last chapter, the old lady is like, yeah, this guy is like gonna try to kidnap you. And so he's like, are you okay? You seem like you need some help. And she's like, no, I'm fine. I'm here with my family. And he's like, no, I don't think you are. I've been watching you. She's like, yeah, that's fucking weird. And then runs away, like freaks out and runs away, and expects him to be chasing her. But when she looks behind him, he's just like staring at her. She says like in bewilderment. But I don't know, that's a weird thing to say. So we got this tread done fully while I was explaining all of that. But as she starts running around, she keeps getting lost. Like, over and over. There's a couple pages of just her getting, like, lost and being like, oh, I thought I knew this place better. But she can't figure out where to go. And then she runs into a boy with, like, dark hair. Whose name we'll find out later to be... Let's see. Casper. Because he's, like, very pale. And he has dark hair, so he looks like a ghost. So they call him Casper. Or his name is Casper, which is just... shitty on the... like, don't make... Okay. If it's someone's name, that's fair, right? That totally makes sense. If it's their nickname, that's... It makes sense if it's based on, like, a visual attribute, right? But if it's just straight up, like... Here, I'm gonna try a different method for shaving these. But if it's just straight up, like... something, a name that is their actual name that's based on a physical attribute, like, how could that parent have possibly guessed, like, oh, this kid is gonna look like a ghost? Like, that's just shitty writing, in my opinion. Because then you make your like, to force someone into suspending disbelief on something that is, like, that easily changeable into something else. Like, if it's his nickname, so be it. But they never say that. They just say his name is Casper. And that's fucking stupid, in my opinion. I'm sorry, Tom Huddleston. But that's fucking stupid. That an adult would name their child Casper, and then it would just happen to look like, you know, resemble a ghostly person in appearance. Like, that's just sloppy writing, honestly, in my opinion. Like... And you're bad and you should feel bad, is what I'm going to say. So I'm going to get off that topic. So Casper, she runs into, and then she tries to attack him for some reason, and then finds out that her wrist rocket was stolen. And is like, oh, you're a thief. And is like, give me back my wrist rocket or I'll fucking kill you, basically. And in the process of getting her wrist rocket back, the dude is like, oh, you have a tattoo just like mine. Or a birthmark, sorry. They look like tattoos, which is what another thing that bothers me. Is like, there's no reason why all these kids would have birthmarks that are like... Except for his is differently shaped. It has like symbols that are differently shaped. It's a different one of the runes of Sigmar or whatever the fuck, right? So I always thought that was really stupid that they call them birthmarks, when in reality they must be tattoos, because there's no way that these kids are just born with birthmarks that, like, symbolize their fucking part of the... I don't know, it's stupid. But he's a thief, and so she's like, I'll kill you, give me my shit back, thief. We finished both the treads. And he's like, you need to come with me and my friends. And then just out of nowhere, his friends roll up. And his friends are this really large... the oldest kid, who I said will probably be somewhere like, I think she's probably like 15, but she could be 16 at the maybe the oldest. Youngest 14, and then a very young kid who's on her shoulders like a backpack named Alish, and the big kid is named Thanos and is a redhead. And they all have this birthmark, and they basically are like, they don't say you should come with us, which is something I would have said. They just say you need to come with us to our master, which would freak me out. Like, I get that some people, like, study under people and they call, like, their sensei, like, their master, or their guide, their master. Like, I get that. But to an ex-slave who has been on the run for the last year since her mother died and she went through a fucking portal from her slavers... Like, to hear, like, oh, you need to come with us to our master would freak me out, too. And she's like, no, fuck that. And she bails, basically. And she runs away. And every time she goes to run away, she keeps getting lost, right? And she keeps running into the kids. And so she finally goes into this garden with this statue, this like weird statue that looks almost lifelike, right? And then she finds an open room and goes into it to hide from the kids. And what she finds in there is this big sign that says the upper circle, and decides to follow it up. And that's where the second chapter ends. So basically the second chapter is her being stalked by these other kids. And then out of nowhere, Star Wars Adventures in the Wild Space series. Yep, that makes sense. They're probably all the same way. They're probably to sell good toys. Or maybe they're for the Star Wars Legion game. That would be so cool. Because I didn't think the Star Wars Legion game had like lore, but it could. It could have easy reader lore. I mean, sure it has lore, but I actually mean like easy reader lore. Like Black Library is pretty unique. Alright, so Kiri goes into the theater, right? And she finds herself on the mezzanine of the theater, looking down on the stage, staring at a couple of Skaven. And the Skaven had been hinted at throughout the entire couple chapters so far. Basically, a couple of random people saying, oh, you know, there might be rats in the theater. You know, people talked about large rats the size of men. But those are just stories, right? But then they actually find Skaven in the theater, and they're practicing like some either Shakespeare or some like older play. I couldn't place it, even though I'm a theater major and I should be able to. I'm just fucking lazy as hell. So they're just putting on some show, either rehearsing or actually putting it on. It doesn't seem like there was an audience there, when the rest of the kids like basically like show up behind her. And she's like, what the fuck? How'd you find me? And they're like, it's the birthmarks. And then they say this word that I was so surprised with. They said, it's what the master calls triumvirgence, which is when three kids with the birthmarks are together, you can find other kids with the birthmarks, which is just a weird thing, because it must be only specific to these kids as it is. So it's weird that the person who's their master, who we find out his name finally is Vertigan, would name them Triumvirgus. It's just like a weird fucking thing to like have as a note. And it felt like a personal, like maybe the author was like, look at me, I just made a piece of lore, I'm so cool. Like, maybe that's what his moment was, and if so, like, no judgment. But goddamn, is it shitty. This whole book so far has just stunk like a fat fucking turd, if you haven't noticed. Like, I'm sure the smell is emanating through the screen into your home, just fucking making your body shrivel up into nothing, you know? I understand, but we're almost done. We're almost through. So, we find out that there are two more people, right? The master, which is Vertigan, and a kid named Elio. It's spelled Elio. So, Elio. It's hard for me to place personally. So there's Elio. I don't know how to fucking say it, dude. So there's him, and then there's the master, and they basically are like, Kiri, you need to come with us. And Kiri basically, before she can say I don't have another choice, which is what she's thinking, hears that there's no more sound on the stage and freaks out. And then Skaven appear behind them. And they fucking lose it, right? Because they get ambushed. And so they boost Casper up in a hurry to this top part that is very weirdly described, so it's hard to visualize to you guys. But I'll just tell you what it basically sumesses to. So they boost Casper up to this upper area where they could grab a rope. And then Casper passes the rope down to the rest of the kids who are on the mezzanine, and they all grab onto Thanos. So that's three kids, Thanos, and then Kiri and Alish. And then they swing from the mezzanine onto the stage. And then somehow Casper falls from where he is, boosted up, into Thanos' arms, which doesn't make sense to me. Because if he got boosted up into, like, the upper areas of the theater, right? Up into that, like, let's say it's on the catwalk area above the theater where the lights are hung. And that's why he can reach a rope for them. Then did he, like, was he just trying to walk across the catwalk? And how did he get that far to where he was above the stage? Because Thanos is described as literally just putting her arms out, and he falls into them from being on the stage. So that didn't make any sense to me, and I wanted to point that out. But they escape from there, and then that's where the extract ends. And it's like, you want to find out what happens next? Go pick up the copy of City of Livestone. And that's also where I'm going to end my stream today, because I'm pretty happy with the progress I've made on this little guy here. And I've got a couple of podcasts that I like to listen to while I build. So I don't want to build this whole thing on screen. I know I've been transitioning less from building on screen and more talking about topics, which is probably less preferable for you guys, but I promise you that it's way funner and it's way more enjoyable for me. I had a way better time than some of the other times I've had. I've been really stressed out about streaming recently and keeping up with the standards that I owe you guys when I'm not feeling my best, and I've been feeling very depressed. So I really appreciate that you guys can, if you can, enjoy these other projects for what they are, because I'm having a lot of fun with them. So thank you so much. I will see you guys on a future stream, but let me know if you guys had any questions about City of Livestone. I did a shit ton of reading into it, so if you had any questions, I'd love to know. If not, I'm gonna end soon, but it's just because I feel good with where I'm at. Thank you for joining me today. It means a lot to me. Probably more than you know.